Hello everybody, if you don't know me, my name is Paige and I clearly do a lot of reading. And last year, over my winter break, I decided that I was going to redo my fantasy shelves. These shelves? Not my fantasy shelves, which is why we are here today. But I am technically still on my winter break. I have like 2 days left, and I decided that before I go back into the wonderful world of education, these need to be cleaned up. Hence why we are here today. Now, if you don't know me, my main reading category is fantasy, hence why I have an entire secondary shelf dedicated to it. But clearly, I do other reading as well, as does my family, which is why we have so many bookshelves. And I have been blessed enough that my mom actually entrusts me to do these bookshelves because she's like, I can't do that. You can do that. And I was like, thank you. With that being said, let me give you a quick rundown of what these shelves have to offer. We will start with the shelf that sits by itself. As of right now, this top shelf is romance. This shelf here is split into dark romance and thriller/mysteries. And then as we go down, these three shelves are like fantasy mystery shifting into like literary fiction, into more literary, until we finally reach like Taylor Swift and memoirs and poems and just all those little weird books, I guess. And then the bottom shelf that you can't see is actually my mom's books. And those are mostly like religious books regarding religion, I'd think. I don't know. I don't read them. Moving on is the second shelf. The top shelf here is 95% YA fantasy with a little bit of YA literary up here. And then we just have more YA books. And then this is just another shelf of YA. Although they mostly aren't fantasy based, it's like literary. Like The Naturals is here by Jennifer Lynn Barnes and literally nothing else of note. And then the bottom three shelves are books that I've been carrying around since I was in 4th grade. So books that take me maybe an hour to read. But I still have them because one day I will lay my eyes upon the words on those pages and thoroughly enjoy them. And then lastly is this shelf, which I have a hatred for right now. Honestly, I have a hatred for all these shelves. They all piss me off one way or another. Hence why we're redoing them. What a concept. Anyways, this shelf. The top shelf is mostly YA series that I've yet to read. Like up here we have The Boxcar Children, I Survived, Lemony Snicket, Ramona. What's her last name? Ramona by Beverly Clearly. Oh, Beezus and Ramona. There we go. That's what I was thinking of. Loved that movie as a kid. This shelf is our childhood picture books. This shelf never gets touched. This shelf is going to stay right here. I do not want to deal with this. The next shelf down is graphic novels, and the two shelves below that are my brother's books. As you can see, I already made him come down and go through the books that he wants to keep and not keep. All the ones turned around are getting off the shelf. And there is technically one more shelf at the very bottom, but that is filled with books about occupational therapy and economics because they're my mom and I's school's books, like textbooks. We still have them. I don't know why. But these are the shelves in their current state. It is really important to note that there is also stacks of books that are supposed to go in here off camera, and I'm not too worried about making them fit because how I have this set up now is nowhere near what it's going to look like when we're done. At least that's the hope. If you watched my video where we redid my fantasy shelves, you'll remember that I had those half shelves that I built to give some of the books more height so that in theory I would be able to fit like 2 columns of books, you know? It ended up being that really didn't work because the books ended up being too wide to fit 2 of them. However, I do think it helped fit more books on the shelf because there was only like 5 books that didn't fit on my fantasy shelf, and now they sit on top of the fantasy shelf. Anyways, through all that rambling, I hope that you gathered that I will be doing the same thing over here. I'm officially done with my Bob the Builder moment. I have 4 of these shelves, and that's what we're gonna start with. I technically do have more shelves that I can put together, but I didn't end up using all of the blue shelves, so I don't think I'm going to end up using all of the white shelves. Therefore, I just made like 1 box of them, which is 4. So we have 4 to start with. I want to start with my romance section, and I'm hoping that I can also fit all of the dark romance up here as well. As I've stated a million freaking times, these are actually already organized into like their genre sections. I just have to pull them down and then put them back up. Included in that, there are a couple of books in my shelves that have been turned around like this. They are turned around like that because I have decided that I am no longer keeping those books, but I needed them for like end of the year wrap up filming purposes, which is why I'm still holding on to them. Now that we are officially in 2025, these can leave. I have a hatred for these. I'm also gonna make sure that I grab the books that are on the lower shelves as well that belong up top, because clearly there's a couple of them down there too. I don't know if I said this or not, but I'm gonna try to fit dark romance up there as well. I'm hoping with the shelf divider that it will go a little bit easier, but you never really know. But top shelf is officially cleared, and I believe I got all of my romances. So I'm gonna go grab a stool, and then we are gonna do a quick, cute little time lapse of me putting together the romance shelf. The romance / dark romance shelf is officially done. It is going to suck later in the year when I finish books that are supposed to go up there because I don't think I can fit any more up there. But it's okay. That's for later me to figure out. I ended up actually not using a shelf up there. I thought this would help, but in fact it did not help and just made it worse. So never mind that idea. Anyways, the next section I'm going to do is going to be my brother's books down here, mostly because he's getting rid of more than half of his books. So I think I can fit all of his on one shelf at the bottom, and then that way I can add my other books over there. Like I'm just, you know, because we're doing a little switcherooski here. Because I'm thinking I can put these 3 shelves down to 1 shelf. Because that'd be crazy. Because my plan is if I get it down to 1 or like 1.5 shelves, it'll go at the bottom. And then I want to move my middle school books here on these 2.5 shelves, because we're not touching those, and up there too. Like put them all there so that all of like my brother's books and then elementary / middle school reads will be here, and then the second shelf over here will just be YA. That is the hope. That is the plan. And I'm doing it that way because I know I have more books to add to the YA section. As you can see, all of that's YA. I'm thinking that's the best way to go about this and do this. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Okay, let's have a fun and cute little time lapse of me pulling off all these books. Brother, okay. So I went a wee bit overboard from what I said I was going to do. I'm sorry I got in the role and now we're here. I also apologize if you can hear my music in the background. It's calming my dogs down because our neighbors are doing like something loud. You know? Anyway, bottom shelf. These are all of my brother's books completely on the shelf. And I also got my graphic novels back there. You can't see them though. That's okay. I then went ahead and moved all of the books that were in these two lower shelves, which were those 4th and 5th grade reads, onto this shelf, and the top shelf. And I honestly hate how every single one of those shelves looks. Okay, whoa. Sorry, wasn't trying to make you look at the freaking sun. I hate how those grade school, middle school shelves look. I hate it so much, but that's great because then it gives me motivation to read the books and get them off my shelves permanently. Because if you don't know, the only reason I still have like these 300 books is because I want to read them, obviously. But then I'm not going to keep them because they're mostly scholastic books and I still want to like know what happens in them, but I have no attachment to them. So I keep them, especially when somebody else in the world who likes to read can enjoy them. So this case right here is officially 110% done. I did not touch this shelf at all. All I did was put the Wicked characters up there. Like I mentioned, those are our childhood picture books and I'm not touching that. That scares me. And then I actually did one more thing as well. I know, I literally went off the rails, but it's okay. If you'll remember, this down here was my middle school reads, and then these books were actually all on like the top 3 shelves. And because I got all of the books on these 2 shelves over there, I moved everything down and organized it. I honestly do not like how these shelves look either, but I think it's because I don't have a lot of books in this section. And that is nowhere near a bad thing. That's actually a good thing because my family will fill this up. My mom actually came home and asked me, "Oh, how are the bookshelves going?" And I'm like, "We have space." And her first reaction was, we get to buy more books. So clearly, having bookshelf space is not going to be an issue. Anyways, by moving all of these books down, this shelf up here is completely empty. Nothing. Which means that we only have one case left to redo, and that is the case where my romance books sit. If you'll remember, we started by organizing the romance books up there. That was like 3 hours ago at this point. But honestly, I hate this. I do. I didn't say anything because I'm like, well, it needs to look that way because you own too many books, girl. But I don't. I got space. So I'm very excited to say this. We are going to redo this shelf. This whole shelf is getting redone. Except for the bottom one. I'm not touching the bottom one because I'm just not. That doesn't need to be touched. It doesn't need to be messed with. The other 5 do though. Clearly, they are in need of some desperate help, which is what I'm going to give them now. My plan is to keep this up here, my romance shelf. This shelf will be dark romance, and it'll have a little section for really sad books, like If You Had Been With Me and Girl in Pieces. Then I will do mysteries, thrillers with a subsection of horror, and then this bottom one and this top one over here will become like my literary section. Think like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Message Not Found. Lessons in Chemistry, that's the type of vibe we're going for. And my poetry books, because I do have a handful of those. But that is the plan, and because the shelves are in such disarray, I am gonna gut this whole thing and start completely over. Even though I said I wasn't going to do that. Apparently, I'm a liar. Sorry about that. Let's gut a bookshelf. The shelf is empty, and despite what it may look like, the books are actually organized into sections. For once. So without further ado, let's reshelve the last shelf. I'm so excited. And with that, all of my bookshelves are officially ready. for the 2025 reading season. While I am not in love with how these shelves look, they do look better, and that's all I can ask for at this point. I honestly was planning to have so many more of like my middle school, grade school books read and done so I didn't have to reshelve them, but I just continued going back to adult series in my past year of reading. But I think that's okay, because it looks decent. It looks good enough that I won't have to like fret about it until like probably July, when we'll do this all again. But yeah, with that, thank you so much for coming with me to redo my bookshelves. I had a wonderful time doing this, and I hope that you had a wonderful time watching me do this. But with that, we have officially reached the end of our time here together today. So until I see you guys next Wednesday for another wonderful reading adventure, I hope that your book worlds are treating you just as well as mine treat me. Happy freaking New Year! I will see you next time. Bye!